What's up, guys? You're here with Goran from Pickdawgz, and thank you for joining me here for your free picks for Saturday, April 20th. Well, guys, the weekend is here. We had a decent day on Friday with free picks, hit 3 out of 5. The one I'm most disappointed in is that Athletic Bilbao pick where we had them at -1.5. They barely ended up getting a draw 1-1 against Granada. Even though they are fighting for the Champions League spot, they for some reason did not show up to that game completely ready. And like I said, they barely got a draw out of it. Saturday is going to be our usually busy day. In Europe, I believe I have 15 free picks for you in this video, including the parlay of the day at the end of it. This time it's going to be a nice 4 leg parlay pays out at plus 374. I decided to go with a 4 leg parlay just to switch it up a little bit, get the luck back on our side. And I'm hoping for a very good day once again. In the MLS, we have almost a full slate, 12 games on the schedule once again. You can find the picks for those in the separate video, of course, and it's going to be another exciting evening in the MLS as well. For my best bets, click the link in the description. That will get you up to my page where you can sign up, get a daily pass, 3-day pass, 7-day pass, or even a month-long pass if that's something you want to do. Let's get this show on the road, guys. As we usually do, we are going to kick it off with the EPL. We have 3 games in the EPL, 1 game in the FA Cup semi-finals between Chelsea and Manchester City. So let's get this show on the road with Luton versus Brentford. First game of the day, well, actually 10 a.m. game of the day in the EPL. Luton Town still has a very decent chance of staying in the league. However, all the injuries they have throughout the season have really been keeping them down, and they still have a ton of injured players, which is definitely very unfortunate for them because, in my opinion, they are a solid team, and even with all these injuries, they're still in play to stay in the EPL. They are now in the 18th place with 25 points. Brentford is in 15th place with 32 points, and they are now undefeated in their last 4 games. They finally gained some consistency. However, with the fact that Luton Town has to go for the win here, they have to try and do something at home. They have to try and get points or maybe at least a draw. I do expect a little bit more of an open offensive football from both sides. So I'm going to go with both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at -133. The second game of the day in the EPL is between Sheffield and Burnley. Two teams, one team that's basically being relegated, that is Sheffield United at the bottom of the table, while Burnley actually is now 6 points away from the safe zone. They are in 19th place with 20 points. And with only one loss in their last 6 games, they keep prolonging their lives in the EPL. And if they can get maybe a couple more wins or maybe a win or a few draws in a row, they could potentially have a decent chance of staying in the league. Now, they haven't beaten Sheffield on the road in a while, but Sheffield is the worst team in the league by far. Defensively, they are really a mess. They can score goals, yes. They have been doing it quite consistently, but I think that this was going to be pretty much all Burnley here. I think that Burnley will try to step it up. I think that they have been showing some signs of life. They are capable of playing great football. And because of that, guys, I'm going to go for the full value here, and that is Burnley to win and over 2.5 goals at plus 250. And the next game of in England that we have in the EPL is between Wolverhampton and Arsenal. Now, Arsenal got knocked out of the Champions League by Bayern earlier this week. They were fairly useless in that game. They basically had just the raw possession as they do. They created a few chances, but nothing concrete, and they ended up losing that game 1-0. The only competition left for Arsenal right now is the EPL, where they are in second place, below Manchester City and above Liverpool. But all 3 teams are still within a point, and this is a very, very, very important game for Arsenal. They need a win here. They can't allow themselves to slip up again. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. That's Arsenal for you. That's what they did last year. That's what they are doing again this year. And Wolverhampton, let's be honest, is not a bad team. Yes, they are on a pretty bad streak without a win in their last 5 games, but they have definitely been showing us a lot of offense this season, a lot of offensive firepower, and I think that they might be a little bit of a big of an underdog here. Too big of an underdog for my taste, if I'm being honest. I think that they deserve a little bit more respect, especially because Arsenal was playing in Europe earlier this week. So I'm gonna go with a game prop for Wolverhampton, and that is Wolverhampton to have over 3.5 shots on target at plus 155. For our next game in England, we are going to the FA Cup, where we have Manchester City and Chelsea facing off in the semi-finals of that competition. Manchester City also got knocked out of the Champions League by Real Madrid after a penalty shootout earlier this week. It was quite a disappointing result because they had so much possession, they had so many great chances, but maybe on occasion you should take a shot from outside the box. If you really can't get the ball over the line by passing it around, maybe just take a shot every now and then from outside the box and maybe adapt your gameplay a little bit towards Holland. Give him the ball a little bit more. Have that man, that beast of a man up front, do his job and score some goals for you. They passed the ball around probably 5,000 times in that game. And then Jack Grealish, I don't know. I just can't understand why that guy is still playing in the starting 11. If you have a game like that in the Champions League and 95% of his passes are basically backwards, I just don't understand this. But I guess that's Pep Guardiola for you and his coaching style. Chelsea right now is playing pretty well. They have destroyed Everton last week 6-0 at home, and they are scoring quite a lot of goals right now. And Cole Palmer is leading them, and he is in the competition now for the top scorer in the EPL with, I believe, 20 goals, if I'm not mistaken. Chelsea hasn't lost any of their last 5 games on the road. They haven't lost any of their last 8 games overall. But this is still Manchester City we are talking about, the team that's capable of creating chances out of nothing. And this will be their redemption game. They will try to get to the finals of this week, and it's being played at a neutral venue. So uh, I don't know. I do see goals in this one, to be honest. I could see this one going towards Manchester City a little bit more. But then again, we can never be surprised by Chelsea anymore and anything that they do, whether they're going to flop the game or they're going to score 4 goals and win it. It could happen and it could go either way, in my opinion. So instead of that, I'm going to go with goals, and that is both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at minus 115. Off to Spanish Liga, guys, where we have Valencia hosting Betis. And as soon as I saw the matchup, the first thought that popped into my mind was cards. I honestly think this could be a bloodshed of a game. The line is set to over 5.5 cards, and that is like minus 130 something. And with Betis coming off of a win against Celta Vigo and Valencia beating Osasuna 1-0, I think that both teams will try to keep the positive streak alive, and I believe that both teams will be focused a little bit more on defense rather than the offense, at least in the first half. And I also think that we're going to see some cards in this one. Like I said, the line over 5.5 might not be too high, but I don't like it, to be honest. So I decided to take Valencia over 2.5 cards at minus 114. For the second pick in La Liga, we have Girona hosting Cadiz, and Girona is playing well at home, but they're losing games on the road. They're still in the Champions League race. They are now in third place. They will try to keep that place and qualify for the Champions League. And luckily for them, they are playing against Cadiz, who still hasn't won a single game on the road this season, and they are fighting to stay in the league as well. Girona, very, very solid at home. Only one loss so far this season. Like I said, they are winning games at home, but we saw what happened with Athletic Bilbao on Friday. So I'm gonna be a little bit more careful for this one rather than I was for that one. So I'm gonna take Girona minus one at minus 154. I think the least we're gonna get out of this one is gonna be the push, but I think that Girona is due for a nice breakout performance in the attacking end, and I wouldn't be surprised if they scored 3 or 4 goals here on their own. So Girona minus one at minus 154. Off to German Bundesliga, where the title race is over, guys. Bayer Leverkusen has won it with a few games to spare. They had an outstanding season, and their match is on Sunday. While on Saturday we have Heidenheim hosting Leipzig in the first game of the day that we are going to talk about. Leipzig is looking really, really well right now. Whether they played at home or on the road, they have scored 7 goals in their last 2 games. It looks like that they have become once again efficient. While Heidenheim on the other side is not that good of a defensive team, but they are definitely capable of scoring goals, and they have scored at least a goal in each of their last 3 games. However, they have conceded at least a goal in each of their last 10 or 12 games in a row. So I definitely am giving the advantage to Leipzig here. They have more depth, they have more quality, and they're looking pretty well right now. So I'm taking Leipzig to win at over 2.5 goals at minus 115. Köln and Darmstadt is another important game in Bundesliga, especially for Köln, who is fighting to stay in the league. They are now in the relegation zone, if I'm not mistaken, but they are very, very close to that playoff spot, which could give them a little bit more time and chances to stay in the league. And even Bochum in 15th place is only 5 points away. So if Köln gets a win here, and they should get a win because Darmstadt is the worst team in the league by far, everybody's beating them, and it would be quite an embarrassment if Cole didn't beat them as well. Darmstadt hasn't won any of their last 23 games. They're struggling on both ends. They haven't scored a goal in their last 2 games, conceded 5 in those 2 games. And like I said, this is a must win game for Cole. So I'm going to put my faith in them. And I'm going to take Cole to win and over 1.5 goals at minus 139. Hoffenheim and Borussia Mönchengladbach is the next matchup in German Bundesliga, and honestly, I didn't even think about this one too long, except I was trying to find the best price I could possibly get. I don't see either side keeping a clean sheet, to be honest. I was thinking about taking shots on target, but then I feel like this could be a very effective game since neither team has a defense. And that's why I decided to take both teams to score at over 3.5 goals and plus 120. Like I said, I didn't think about this one too long. Defensively, both teams are a mess, but then again, in the attacking end, they definitely have a lot to show for, and I think we're gonna see some goals in this one. Wolfsburg is hosting Bochum in the next matchup, and I'm going to keep this one very, very simple as well. Both teams are pretty much in the same boat, struggling a lot on both ends. Defensively, Bochum has been a little bit more inconsistent this season than Wolfsburg has, but form matters, guys, and neither of these two teams is in a good form. They're struggling with keeping a clean sheet, and I think that's what's going to make this game very interesting. But I also think that both teams feel like they could get a win out of this game. But honestly, I simply have to go with the home team. I think that they have been on a path to finally become a little bit more consistent, but they always fell behind. Um, and I think that's going to change in this game. So I'm taking Wolfsburg with the money line at home at minus 128. And the last game of the day in Bundesliga is the derby of the day between Union Berlin and Bayern Munich. Now, last season, this was an outstanding game because Union Berlin was playing outstandingly well at home. They were the only team in the top 5 leagues to stay undefeated at home, and they were in second place at that time. While Bayern Munich has won the title last season, but this year they lost it. However, I don't think they concern themselves too much about it because they have qualified for the Champions League semifinals by beating by beating Arsenal earlier this week, and that is definitely a competition they could win this season because I feel like they have enough quality to do it. Union Berlin is not scoring a lot of goals. That is not their forte this season, and their defense has been very inconsistent as well. But with the arrival of the new head coach a few months ago, they have become a little bit more consistent. They've won some games, they've gained some distance from the relegation zone, and the pressure is now off, which means that they will approach this game uh, a little bit more cautiously, in my opinion. But then again, when you do that against Bayern Munich and when you don't try to score goals, you usually lose a game against Bayern Munich. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see Bayern getting a win here and scoring a few goals while doing it. But I decided to take Bayern team total corners over 5.5 at minus 139. With the amount of possession and the chances they will create, I think that a bunch of those shots outside the box and maybe passes and stuff and crosses will end up in the corners, and that is the reason why I decided to go with over 5.5 corners for Bayern at minus 139. In the Italian Serie A, guys, we have a couple of games to talk about on Saturday. The first one is between Empoli and Napoli. Napoli they have been so inconsistent lately that I'm honestly scared to bet on them. But I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna take Napoli on the money line simply because they are the better team here. And yes, they're coming off of a draw against Frosinone 2-2, which was unfortunate. But when playing on the road, they are actually scoring a lot of goals right now. And Empoli, let's be honest, is not a good defensive team as they conceded 48 goals in 32 games so far this season, and they're averaging about 1.3 goals conceded when playing at home. To keep it simple, I'm going to take Napoli on the money line at minus 143. And the last game of the day in the Italian Serie A is between Verona and Udinese, two teams that are outside the relegation zone right now, but if they don't win any games soon or any points that is anytime soon, it could easily happen that they sink into the relegation zone because the distance between Sassuolo in the 19th place and Verona in 15th place is only 2 points. So we have five teams competing to stay outside the relegation zone, and either one of those five teams could easily end up in the relegation zone. So the draw in this game, I was thinking about it, and honestly, I decided against it because it doesn't suit any one of these teams at the moment. And that's why I think that both teams will try to go for the win here. And offensively, they are showing a lot of life right now. They are scoring goals, but defensively, they are a bit of a mess as well. So I'm going to go with both teams to score at minus 120. In the French League One, guys, we also have two games on the schedule. The first one is between Nantes and Rennes. And I gotta be honest, Nantes is unrecognizable right now. Well, sorry, Rennes is unrecognizable right now. They have lost their last four games in a row, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And on top of that, they have scored only one goal in those four games while conceding six goals in those four games. So it's not that bad, if I'm being honest, but they do lack some serious offense right now. And that is probably because they're missing some of their best players in that attacking end. Not on the other side has won two of their last three, which is actually quite a nice streak. But luckily for them, they have scored at least a goal in each of their last four games. And given the state of Rennes' defense right now, I think that Nantes will score here as well. So I'm gonna go with both teams to score at minus 122. And the last pick of the day before we move on to the parlay of the day is between Lens and Clermont in the French League One. As we can see, Lens pretty heavy favorite, even though they haven't won any of their last four games. But Clermont is the worst team in the league. They're at the bottom of the table with 22 points. They will get relegated. And they haven't had much luck when playing against Lens on the road in the past. Uh, Clermont hasn't won any of their last five games overall against Lens, and when playing at home, Lens hasn't lost to any of their last five home games against Clermont as well. So everything is pointing towards Lens here, and I'm gonna go for the maximum value I could possibly get, and that is Lens to win and over 2.5 goals at minus 102. And now we are up to that parlay of the day, guys. A four-legger, like I said. We have Luton versus Brentford over 2.5 goals. Girona on the money line. Leipzig on the money line in Bundesliga. And Hoffenheim versus Borussia Mönchengladbach, both teams to score. Like I said, guys, this four-legger pays on at plus 374. Like I said, I decided to go with a four-legger instead of five, simply because I want to give us a little bit more breathing room, a bit of a safety net, and hopefully we get some good luck on our side with this nice parlay for Saturday. That's it, guys. Thank you for joining me here. These were free picks for Saturday. Hope you have a great day. Good luck with all of your bets. And of course, feel free to leave a comment on any of these videos and make sure you hit that like button as well. Enjoy your day, guys, and I'll see you soon with more free picks.